Hello everyone, it is Sam and Dell again, and we are here for Linguistic Journey, my podcast where I develop about language acquisition. Today's subject is the role of cultural immersion in language learning. It is impossible to truly master a language without understanding the culture behind it. Today, we'll explore why cultural immersion is essential for language acquisition and how it deepens your understanding of not just words, but the meaning behind them. So let's start with the basic. What do we mean by cultural immersion? It is not just about learning a language in a vacuum. Cultural immersion means fully engaging with the traditions, social norms, values, and everyday practices of the people who speak the language. Language is more than just a collection of words and grammar rules. It is a reflection of how people think, how they view the world, and how they interact with one another. When you immerse yourself in a culture, you start to understand the why behind the words, why certain phrases are used in specific contexts, why humor is structured in a certain way, or cultural history shapes the way people communicate. Language and culture are deeply intertwined, which means interconnected. Words gain their value, their full meaning, only within the context of a culture. Think about idioms, expressions, or even slang. Tasks often make no sense if you don't understand the cultural references behind them. For example, humor varies wildly across cultures. A joke that's funny in one language might fall flat or even offend in another because humor is tied to social norms. Historical events and shared cultural values without cultural immersion, you might understand the literal meaning of words, but you miss out on the deeper layers of meaning. Immersion allows you to observe how native speakers use language in different situations. You learn to pick up on nonverbal cues, tone, and subtleties that are key to effective communication. This understanding is vital for true fluency, not just knowing what to say, but knowing when and how to say it. Cultural immersion is also about learning the social rules of communication. Every culture has its own set of norms around politeness, formality, and hierarchy, which are reflected into language. For instance, in many languages, there are formal and informal ways of addressing people. In French, you have tu and vous. In Spanish, it's tú and usted. These distinctions are not just grammatical, they reflect social relationship. By example, you can't be talking to your teacher and use tu. No, you will use usted. The same way in French, you won't be using tu, but you will be using vous. Vous êtes, vous avez, vous nous avez donné un devoir, etc. If you don't understand the cultural context, you might accidentally be too formal or too casual, which could cause misunderstandings. Immersing yourself into language helps you navigate these unwritten rules. You start to understand when it's appropriate to use certain form of address, or to show respect, and how to adapt your language based on the social context. One of the most important benefits of cultural immersion is that it helps you become more fluent, not just into mechanics of the language, but into the way it's actually used. Cultural fluency goes hand in hand with linguistic fluency. When you immerse yourself in a culture, you are exposed to the rhythm of the language. You hear our native speakers interact in every situation, at a market, in a cafe, during celebration, or even in arguments. These experiences teach you the real, live version of the language that textbook can't fully capture. The cultural immersion also helps you build a relationship with native speakers, which is key to improving fluency. When you engage with people in your language within the cultural context, you are forced to adapt quickly. Your language skills improve as a result. You start to think into language, not just translate your thoughts. Of course, cultural immersion can also be challenging. It is one thing to learn a language in a classroom where everything is structured and predictable, but when you're immersed in a new culture, you're stepping into unfamiliar territory. You might make mistakes, say the wrong thing, misunderstand a custom, or feel out of place. This can be uncomfortable, but it's also a critical part of the learning process. Cultural immersion pushes you out of your comfort zone, which is exactly where growth happens. The more you engage with the culture, the more you will understand the nuances of the language, and the more confident you will become in using it. The key is to stay open and curious. View every interaction as a learning opportunity. Pay attention to how people speak, what they say, and what they don't say. Over time, you will develop a deeper, more intrusive understanding of the language and culture. In the end, cultural immersion is essential for true efficiency, for true fluency. It is crucial for true fluency. Language is not just about memorizing vocabulary and grammar alone. It's about understanding the culture that gives life to the language. By immersing yourself into culture, you gain deeper appreciation for the subtleties, subtleties of communication, and you become more fluent, not just in the language itself, but into the way people use it. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Linguistic Journeys. I think this is episode 22 or 22nd. Yep. If you're serious about mastering a new language, I encourage you to dive into the culture as much as you can. Engage with native speakers, participate in cultural traditions, and observe how language reflects the values and history of the people who speak it. Make sure to subscribe for more insight on language learning, and in the next episode, we'll explore strategies for overcoming cultural barriers in language acquisition. Until then, keep listening, keep learning, and stay curious. See you.